Hello guys, welcome to Ask Raghulan. So today we were seeing in the previous video making a career in IoT. So we're just going to continue along with that. This is actually the second part of it. So what we have seen in the first video is just getting started. If you're going to start your career in IoT, what are the things that you need? IoT. So what are the things that you need? And so what are the areas generally you can work? And then we were looking at the functional locations where you can actually work as a staff in different companies. So now what we're going to see is a bit about the industry and the sort of companies generally you can find jobs. So are you ready to start your career in IoT? So first thing you need to ask yourself is, are you a person who can actually have the attitude to study different things, have an interest to learn new things? So if you're not, then IoT is going to be not that easy field for people who's not into studying and into learning. So first of all, let's get through some of the industries and what sort of work and what sort of projects that you might actually find in there. So if you look at it, there is a lot of industries that goes in there. This is not just this list. So if you look at every industry that's out there, so they will have some sort of an integration or some sort of a progress that they make in integrating IoT into their services. And so if you look at agriculture, for an example, so people have already integrated IoT almost like every part of the world in agriculture. So starting from starting from checking the moisture that they find on the land right next to the plants, and then watering them at the right time, and checking the humidity on the air, checking the temperature, and everything else, just based on those information coming from the sensor, so they can actually monitor the plants and then feed the crops and things like that. So a lot of things that can be done in the agricultural field. And logistics, so like shipment tracking using GPS, and then BLE based devices, so for checking and checkout. People have been traditionally using passive active RFIDs, and so now they actually started using BLE based beacons, which can actually help them track. And remember, BLE based beacons, now we have Bluetooth 5.1 version, which is the latest version, which helps you to track the beacon to a very very accurate level, and which also gives you the direction at which it was actually moving. So it is more informative version of the BLE devices. People using in logistics as well. And then robotics. So robotics is one field which is actually getting a lot of interest these days. And it's not just because people want to build robots like Boston Dynamics. It's just they want to have robots which does jobs which is monotonous for any human, which might also have human errors when the humans are doing it. So if you look at robotics as such, so now there are lots and lots of new companies that have surfaced in the last few years, and they start from space exploration on the highest level to even to a level of infrastructure job, doing a lot of infrastructure jobs, and weather monitoring, weather forecast, and a lot of these things. So robotics is one of the field which is closely relevant to IoT as well. So you might, if you are into IoT space, and if you get to an opportunity to work in any of the robotics company, like say even drone manufacturing companies, you get to learn quite a lot because you are actually into the field which is closely related to IoT. So which is really good. And then aeronautics, avionics, aeronautics, and aerospace, and a lot of these areas have been filled with a lot of new companies which is coming up. Example, SpaceX. So SpaceX just recently launched reusable boosters, and they also have the Tesla cars actually have self-driven technologies, and they have the Sentry system which actually monitors people once they're near to the car and then starts recording. So this sort of stuff is possible only with IoT. So if you are an aeronautical engineer, and then if you want to get into IoT space, it should be a lot more easier for you, because now we have a lot of IoT introduction in a lot of these spaces. And marine engineering have been traditionally using buoyants, which is like the age-old IoT device that people can find anywhere they would have seen. So the buoyants that they use it on sea to monitor the temperature of the seas. And if you have noticed the movie Day After Tomorrow, they use the buoyants to first to find tsunamis. They're actually tsunami warning systems, but they also monitor the temperatures. So they detect the drop in temperatures in the ocean and rise in temperature on some of the other portions, and which actually creates a sort of like a cyclone. And this is how people have been detecting cyclones and movement of cyclones and tsunamis and things like that. So buoyants have been used way before any of the other fields have started using IoT based devices. So that's a very good example of marine engineering have one of being the pioneers of using IoT based devices. It's a sensor which actually detects the water temperature and water levels and then report it back to the base station. So that is marine engineering. But marine engineering, apart from that, there is a lot of also other areas where they have actually got started using IoT in a lot of small and large places. And remote sensing. So if you heard of satellite imageries, which is scanning for flood affected areas, and then looking for oil, looking for other resources, looking for plantations and destruction of forest and fires and anything like that. So they come from satellite imageries. So satellite actually scan the globe pretty much 24 hours a day with multiple satellites doing the same job, and people can actually take really high resolution photos of it, and they can actually see what's the data that they get. It's not going to be just plain photos. Sometimes it could be sort of like an infrared image, and sometimes a scanned photo or a DEM file, which is digital elevation models. So it could be a lot of different types of data that we can get from satellites, and people analyzing this information to get more in-depth data and process this information to produce some forecast information as well. So these sort of stuff, these sort of areas called remote sensing, and IoT started contributing a lot to the data that get mapped from the satellites and with the help of sensors. So remote sensing is one of the field that you can also get into it. Another one is production line and automations. So a lot of these factories, even from small scale factories to mid-range to large scale factories. So if you see, most of these factories have some sort of an automation and some sort of a regular jobs that actually could be done by machines rather than humans, which actually reduce the possibility of human errors, and also some sort of any in case if there was any accidents that could happen, this could save lives. So people are been doing this for almost like over 300 years now. So we've been we have seen what industrial revolution can contribute to, and so now the revolution of technology. So everything that has been we have done in a process like a proper production line is now being automated, eliminating human labors. This could be one way it is bad, because it's not going to it's going to get rid of some of the humans of their jobs, but at the time, humans could do much better than what they were doing. So they are much more capable than what machines are, because in terms of they can think, and they can actually make more logical decisions and on the spot decisions that they can do, which could actually be much more better than an AI which was doing it. So that's the story with different industries, how they're actually implementing IoTs. And if you're looking for a job in any of these industries, have a domain knowledge. So first of all, look into what is your domain knowledge. As I said before, there are different types of functional areas that you can work. You can work as a solution architect, you can be a developer, you can be a data scientist. There could be different areas that you can work. There could be a role that you can focus on. But remember, you will be working on any of these industries. So irrespective of whether you're a software engineer or a solution architect or a hardware engineer, you will be working on one of those industries. So when you work on those industries, the value of domain knowledge that you bring it in is actually makes a lot of difference. So the domain knowledge, when I say, so it is like, let's say if you work on any of these fields, either it's agriculture or marine engineering, any of these fields, if you have a background of it, or if you understand how some of these things work, it actually adds quite a lot of value, and you can actually have an edge over others when you're actually delivering this sort of work. So now, what sort of companies we're looking for? So what sort of companies would you be interested in? What sort of companies you should be targeting? So if you look at it, IoT-based companies, there are plenty of them, from 3RD drones to, if you name it, like say Tesla, and if you name all the big brands, they all have a division of IoT where you can actually get yourself inside. So some of the popular names are IBM. The reason I have listed down some of these companies are these companies not only actually they do some sort of a regular consulting, development or design jobs, but they also do sort of IoT based jobs. They are actually top of the line, where you can actually get to some of the niche technologies that can help you to put your profile in some of the big places. So IBM, IBM Watson, they have a lot of these AI based projects and initiatives that's going on. Apart from that, they also have an IoT division within their cloud network. And so if you are going to place yourself in this place, it's going to be top of the line. So it's going to help you put your profile in a much better, brighter light. And Qualcomm, they have been designing chips for a lot of big companies. So they actually design a lot of sensors, chips, and a lot of boards and things like that. So if you're going to be part of that team, it's going to be good as well. It's because you can learn quite a lot of stuff, what's happening in the industry. And Cisco, it's actually a famous hardware networking company. So they have been into the IoT space for the last 10 years. They do a lot of these augmented reality, virtual reality, and IoT based research and product development. So they do a lot of other things as well, apart from standard networking products that they develop. And then Amazon, not just the cloud services, but also if you look at their Amazon retail, their stores, they actually keep improvising almost every year in terms of how efficiently they can manage and deliver their inventory. So Amazon, you may actually find yourself fit into a lot of places, not just in the cloud services, the AWS services, but apart from that, there is also an IoT division, and also they have the retail segment, which is pretty large, and you might also end up getting some work done in there as well. So, which could also be pretty good, because they're actually top of the line in terms of how they manage their inventory. If you look at any of these top logistics or courier-based companies, or any of the shipping companies, they use IoT to a very greater extent, and they are very precise. They use the highest and more high performance efficient robots that you can find online. I mean, like, find anywhere, and they actually put it to regular everyday use. So if you're going to be part of it, and if you are working on some of those things, you are actually get to knowing something which is more efficient than anything that you can find in terms of robotics, and in terms of reading sensors, and using those data for more efficient movement of devices and storage objects and things like that. So they actually do quite a lot of stuff if you look at the retail space of Amazon especially. And then Alibaba, Alibaba is similar to Amazon. They have an online presence, and they do a lot of these connecting between the manufacturers and the suppliers and things like that. So they also have a cloud division, Alibaba Cloud, which is they recently launched it right after Amazon and stuff, and they're doing pretty good in the Chinese space. So so if you're looking for jobs around the Asian market, then Alibaba Cloud and Alibaba might be a better choice as well. And then Bosch, so that's actually a famous manufacturing company. They do a lot of sensor-based devices in their production line. So that could be one of the things that you can try it out as well. And SAP, so SAP has been trying to reinvent themselves in the past 2 years, and so they have not been too successful for the last few years, and their market is steadily being taken away from some of the other new vendors and stuff. But on the IoT space, they have started investing something, and they're working with a lot of different companies as well. SAP is also working with Autodesk on the engineering side of things. They're actually trying to get some engineering integration going between these two companies, and they're also working with Microsoft and on some of their technologies being integrated into .NET and WPF and some of these areas as well. Lots happening on this field, guys, so just keep watching. Probably I'll do some more quick videos on how to get started with IoT, probably on a Raspberry Pi. So that could actually be much more easier for you guys to get moving on this one. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. If you like the videos, share the videos, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.